Um, but this story is completely false and made up, but it has correlations to the journey. So I'm actually calling it Jan's Full Journey because this is the story of Jan. Okay? So like, let's pretend like we're all sitting around a little fire and we're eating, like, toasted marshmallows, and we're hanging out in our jammies, and we're just having a lot of fun, and we're just I'm just telling a story, okay? I'm going to tell you a little story. So let me just take a sip of my drink so I can loosen up the vocal cords. Okay. And spill drink all over me. Hello, class 1. My name is Alea, and I am a hot mess. Okay. Is everybody ready for the story? Is everybody ready for Jan Miller's story? This is a story of Jan. So if anybody ever enters this class and your name is Jan, I'm totally not picking on you. Jan Miller is a 32-year-old fictional woman who is married to a fictional Mark. They have one son named Elliot, who is 4 years old and is starting preschool. Jan is a psychiatrist, but she put her career on hold to focus on being more of a mom. Okay, there's some of us who can actually speak to this or can reflect to this. As a girl, she had big dreams of helping people, healing the world, and aspired to speak on stages across the world. But everything changed when she met Mark 6 years ago. They fell madly, deeply in love, and within 2 years gave birth to a son. Jan decided to give staying home a try. But now that little Elliot is starting preschool, Jan has been thinking about her career again, right? Something inside her is feeling as if she can be a great mom and a great entrepreneur. And so she has been doing so much research on working as a transformational coach from the little office space in her loft. With The Fool's Journey, written by Joseph Campbell, we begin with the Fool. The Fool is marked as 0. It is not numbered. This is a card of beginnings. The Fool stands for each of us as we begin our journey of life. He is a fool because only a simple soul has the innocent faith to undertake such a journey with all its hazards and pain. As the start of the trip, the fool is newborn, fresh, open, and spontaneous. The figure on card 0 has his arms flung open wide. Let's see if I can put it back up. Has his arms flung open wide. All right. And his head held high. He is ready to embrace whatever comes his way, but he is also oblivious to the cliff edge he is about to cross. The fool is unaware of the hardships he will face as he ventures out to learn the lessons of the world. The fool stands somewhat outside the rest of the major arcana. 0 is an unusual number. It rests in the exact middle of the number system, poised between the positive and the negative. At birth, the fool is set in the middle of his own individual universe. He is strangely empty as a 0, but imbued with a desire to go forth and learn. This undertaking would seem to be folly. But is it? Jan is the fool in this journey. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Maria. Hello, honey. Jan is the fool in this journey, excited about the possibilities and going forth, not having any idea of what is to come next. It's exciting and it's a little scary, and she absolutely is going for it. She has decided to not be the fool in the reversed position. Because in the reversed position, Jan would be inspired to move forth, but would only be focusing on the reality and would be worried about the things that could potentially stand in her way and would never move. So Jan begins to start putting the pieces of her business together. She has spent some time in the entrepreneurial world watching others and learning the principles of starting this home-based business. and she is leaning forward and creating content, talking to new potential clients, gaining a new audience. And immediately upon this venture, she noticed that there is a weird toss-up of thoughts and emotions as she begins to create. How many of you have ever found yourself starting out a brand new venture, going for it, really scared, getting inspired? Maybe some of you have got inspired by things and didn't move on it because you were scared. You're in the fool's reverse position. Or maybe you did, becoming the magician and the high priestess. You will often see in tarot these cards kind of pairing up together, and there is a good reason for it, okay? Jan is now becoming the magician and the high priestess, knowing what she wants, creating action plans, and listening to the scandalous thoughts of the subconscious mind that will eventually set her free. From The Fool's Journey, written by Joseph Campbell, on setting out, the fool immediately encounters the magician and the high priestess, the great balancing forces that make up the perceived world. It is a feature of the material universe that as soon as we name some aspect of experience, we automatically evoke its opposite. The magician is the positive side. He represents the active, masculine power of creative impulse. He is also our conscious awareness. The magician is the force, scandalous. The magician is the force that allows us to impact the world through a concentration of will and power, of individual will and power. The high priestess, she's the negative side. She is the mysterious unconscious. She provides the fertile ground in which creative events occur, though, right? The high priestess is our unrealized potential, waiting for an active principle to bring it to expression. You see, Jan and the upright magician is the active masculine, creating from inspired action as she begins to move towards her leading edge. Her subconscious mind is reminding her that there are things to fear here so that she doesn't jump off, right? So the subconscious mind is reminding her that there are things to fear here. So her feminine high priestess begins to announce all the reasons why she should not jump off that ledge. She reminds her that maybe she's not good enough, maybe she's not worthy enough, or maybe she just doesn't know enough. In the upright position of the high priestess, Jan realizes that these fear principles of the subconscious mind are actually healthy because it's bringing it into her conscious awareness of old thoughts that no longer serve her. So she begins using her magician conscious to speak to the high priestess unconscious. If Jan was following the reverse magician, she would only be thinking about those inspired actions and honoring the reverse high priestess fear message. I'm not good enough. I will remain quiet. So I bet you if some of you are like, yeah, I haven't counted on the fool's journey. Yes, I jumped. Yes, I held back. I bet you that, as you were creating, the magician was creating inspired action, and the high priestess was also going, don't do this. Who the hell do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? What are you going to jump off that ledge? Don't you dare jump off that ledge, right? I bet you have encountered in some point of your life these two cards at the same time, right? We all have. We all have. And what's really going to be a lot of fun with this is that as you start moving traditions of his culture and begins his formal education, the Hierophant represents the organized belief systems that begins to surround and inform the growing child. Okay, it's telling me to show you a picture of the Hierophant. So I'm going to show you the picture of the Hierophant. Also, one of my favorite cards. I love the Hierophant card. Okay. Hierophant is someone who interprets arcane knowledge and mysteries. On card 5, we see a religious figure blessing two acolytes. Perhaps he is inducting them into the church membership. Although this image is religious, it is a symbol for initiations of all kinds, no limitations. The child is trained in all the practice of society and becomes part of the particular culture and worldview. He learns the identity with a group and discovers a sense of belonging. He enjoys the learning customs of the society and showing how well he can conform to them, right? So, when Jan is connected to the Hierophant, Jan is now in connection with the Hierophant. She's moving into the Hierophant phase of her life. So in my story, Jan's business is going well, right? She has been really balancing things out at home and at work. But there's been this feeling of like stagnation. Things moving at the same rate of speed. And she's just been really wanting to discover more of her spiritual side. Like she wants more. Like she's wanting more. It's kind of boring, getting kind of boring. Jan knows that there's a major difference between personal development and spiritual awareness. Like they are two different animals. And her religious spiritual beliefs have never really been discovered. But lately, the desire to move into her witchy side has been calling. Not knowing where to learn, Jan starts doing and looking for mentors on Facebook. She finds this woman named Alea. Yeah, and she's got this amazing spiritually based program coming up called the Infinity Project, right? You see what I did here? She gets excited because this newfound awareness could really help her to elevate her own spiritual needs and that of her family and business. She's excited to be a part of a community too, with others who are learning and deepening their spiritual foundations. In this path, she's becoming the Hierophant in her journey, learning new ideas and rituals and spirituality to foster spiritual growth and awareness. Jan calls Alea. Learning new ideas. Super excited. She calls her friend Mindy, who is also, and I'm gonna laugh. She calls her friend Mindy, who is also an entrepreneur in the online space, and says, "Oh my God, you have to join this program with me." But to her surprise, Mindy responds, "Well, I've worked with Alea, and I really enjoy your programs and her community, right? Seeing what I'm doing here. But now I'm at the point in my development where it's time to really focus inward and listen to my intuitive voice in my own practice." Mindy continues, "I think it's great you found something like this because sometimes we need community and a little learning of structure to gain inspired ideas and new learning. But you will find that once you develop that stage of learning, there'll be a time where it's time to focus a little bit more individually until it's time to learn something new." You see, Jan recognizes that Mindy is in the Hierophant reverse position in her journey and is needing more beyond the status quo because of where she is in her development and awareness. It's time for Jan to learn and be part of a community, which is the Hierophant upright, and Mindy to teach and follow her own intuitive voice, which is the Hierophant reversed. And I know that there's been plenty of times in my journey where I've been the Hierophant upright, where I needed to expand my knowledge and I needed to kind of reach out to a mentor to inspire and move me and be a part of a community, right? And I know there's been times where I'm like, I have to turn off the community, which is where I am right now. Like I'm in the Hierophant reverse position in my path right now. Like I can't listen to anything else. I gotta listen to my own voice, right? So we're all gonna have the Hierophant card in either position is neither negative nor positive. It's just it's a different phase of learning and a different phase of taking that knowledge elsewhere, right? So our Jan is in the Hierophant part of her journey. So our Jan, has been through this amazing new affinity course written by this woman named Alea. I don't know who she is, but and is beginning to experience so many new awakenings and awarenesses, right? So, Jan, I feel you, Jan. Jan and Mark's relationship has been getting more passionate. And the love that they have for each other is even growing to new heights with this new belief systems and the values that Jan has developed. Bill Campbell writes, eventually the fool faces two new challenges. He experiences the powerful urge for sexual union with another person. Before, he was mainly self-centered. Now he feels the balancing tendency pictured in the Lover's card. And I know a couple of you got the Lovers, right? Pictured in the Lovers. To reach out and become half of a loving relationship. He yearns for a relationship. The Fool also needs to decide upon his own beliefs. I've heard of this, Alea. A fool also needs to decide upon his own beliefs. It is well enough to conform while he learns and grows, but at some point he must determine his own values. If he is to be true to himself, he must start to question received opinion. So Jan is now entering the lover stage of the journey. The Hierophant reversed is when you are when you're ready to kind of like, okay, I'm gonna just say the word, okay. The Hierophant reverse is when you kind of like F the rules. I didn't say the word, I behaved. You know, F everybody else's, telling me what to do, structure. I'm gonna follow my own structure. I'm gonna follow my own voice. I'm gonna teach what I know. I know I need to be inward. I need to be listening to my intuitive voice and putting that out there, instead of like, constantly receiving guidance and following somebody else's kind of rules to get there, right? So when we're in the Hierophant upright, we're learning. We're learning from somebody. We're learning something new, and we may even be following their kind of like, okay, do this for 10 minutes and do that for 20 minutes and try this for 10 minutes, because we're learning how to adapt to a new modality. Like you're in tarot right now, right? So like if I was to say everyone is the Hierophant upright right now, we're learning. I'm going to be telling you to pull this card and pull that card. And when you finish with this class, you're going to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to kind of break from Alea's rules. I'm going to kind of follow my own guidance. I'm going to teach and share from what I know, what I've developed, what I've embodied, right? So that's the difference between the Hierophant reversed. Does that make sense, Karen? Now with the Lover's card, a lot of times people get really confused with this card. A lot of times people see the Lover's card and they kind of think, oh, it's about me, getting a new relationship, or it's time to be in a new relationship. And it's kind of really not about that. The Lover's card can actually be a relationship between you and a lover, between you and a husband, between you and a wife, between you and a best friend, between you and your mom, between, you and your community, between you and a business partner, okay? So the Lover's card is about two people, but more importantly, it's about a choice. So I'm just going to read on, okay? So Jan has now entered into the Lover's phase of her life, right? And things have been going well. Her and her husband having hot sex is really great, but Mark is sometimes a bit inconsiderate. And one day he pipes up and he tells Jan, hey, my mom is getting a new puppy for Elliot. And I told her yes. And in the background, little Elliot hears the conversation and yells, yay, a puppy! We're getting a puppy! I'm getting ready to talk about that, Lori. We're getting a puppy! Yay! Now to everyone else, a new puppy may not seem like a big deal, right? But Mark works 50 hours a week out of the home, and Jan is busy running a business, caring for their home, and for Elliot. A new puppy would be an added responsibility on her that she just isn't ready to handle yet. And so internally, Jan is a little upset that Mark didn't consider her feelings or even discuss this with her before he said yes. Jan walks away and says to herself, you have two options here. Accept the puppy, knowing that it will make Elliot happy. We're a mom, we want to make our kids happy, right? And avoid the confrontation. Just, take the damn puppy. Or tell Mark and Elliot no and honor your feelings. The Lover's upright speaks of hard choices that deal with relationships in our lives. There's always a choice, and really not knowing which one to do. They're both hard. Okay? When the Lovers is in the upright position, it asks you to be vulnerable and speak your truth to come to a more mutual decision. It means the element is right for both parties to hear one another. So that evening, Jan confronts Mark in their bedroom. She tells him how she honestly felt betrayed and disrespected. They argue, and both Mark and Jan express their truths. Ultimately, they come to the decision that a new puppy would add extra love in their home, but that Jan does need the extra help. So, a new puppy it is, with the added bonus of a hired nanny home helper. If the Lover's card was in the reverse position here, it would signify that the two parties would have very opposing opinions, be not able to come to a mutual decision on two very different paths, and it may signify that it's time to make the hard decision to stay or leave the relationship. So when the Lover's in the reverse position, it's saying there's not mutual good feelings here. There's the Lover's card. There's not mutual good feelings here, that, the relationship's kind of in trouble. We're not hearing each other. We're not communicating well with each other, right? And so if the love is in the reverse position, it's just saying, it may be time to really take a look. Is the relationship ready to continue growing? Or, is it time to move on? And that's the hard truth, right? Because of the Gemini energy. So Soraya's definitely got some astrological stuff going on over there. Yes, it is about flowing communication. It is about, like, when it's in the upright position, it's about being vulnerable and having communication, right? It says that the timing is right to have this open communication. It says timing is right to move and flow with this communication. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So Joseph Campbell writes, by the time the fool becomes an adult, he has a strong identity and a certain mastery over himself. Through discipline and willpower, he has developed an inner control, which allows him to triumph over his environment. I'm so glad that you like them, Lisa, because I'm giving them away. The Chariot represents the vigorous ego. That is the fool's crowning achievement so far. Kim was asking me about the ego card. On card 7, we see a proud, commanding figure riding victoriously through his world. He is invisible in control of himself and all he surveys. For the moment, the fool's assertive success is all he might wish, and he feels a certain self-satisfaction. He is the assured confidence of youth. So, Jan has now moved into the Chariot card. Dun, 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 dun. You see we got two little horses here. Okay. So, back to my story of Jan moving into the Chariot journey. After several months, Jan and Mark have a new puppy and a daily nanny and many more expenses like expanding the bathroom. Things have been going great, right? And the two of them have really learned skills on communicating with vulnerability and respect for one another. The Lover's card opened that up for them, right? So, but just before Halloween, unexpectedly, Mark lost his job. And with that, 50% of the Miller income. Plus, the fall months were a little bit more of a struggle in Jan's business. So faced with many uncertainties, Jan has got to believe in herself more than ever. The Chariot card is a card that expresses pushing forward with strength and firm belief in yourself and faith in the universe. It is the dig your heels into the gas pedal and keep going card. It's determination, goal setting, and go, 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 right? And Jan is undoubtedly finding herself flipping between the Chariot upright and the Chariot reversed. In the upright position, she is fierce and determined. She is in her ego. She is like giving herself, hell yeah, you're awesome. Hell yeah, go, go, go. Hell yeah, you can do this. Hell yeah, you're aspiring. Hell yeah, you're moving. Hell yeah, you're going to make those money. You're going to make that money. Hell yeah, you're going to do everything that you can do. You're going to have a good Christmas for Elliot. Yes, 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 right? Nothing is going to stop her and she's going to push forward into her actions. In the reverse position, she's going to need to take a moment. She's going to need to take a moment. She's going to need to journal. She's going to need to remind herself of her strengths. Remind herself that she can do anything and look for alternate routes to achieving her goals. When the Chariot card presents itself in any position, it can be about the challenges that we face, and in those challenges to remember who we are. And I often kind of look at the Chariot like this. In the Chariot, you can be on top of the Chariot and you can allow the Chariot to carry you through the finish line. Or you could be the one pushing the Chariot over the finish line. The choice is completely yours. It's completely up to you, right? And so when we're in the upright position, it's about believing in who you are. And sometimes it's going to have to step into the ego and be like, okay, you know what? I'm badass. You know what? I can do this. You know what? I've seen myself. I'm proud of myself. Blah, 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 right? It's like moving in and trying to put a reality into the ego and really just go, go, go. When it's in the reverse position, you may be finding yourself needing to do that, needing to write that out, needing to remind yourself who you are. Before you go, 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 it's about coming back and going, hey, this is who you are. You can do this, girl. You can do this. You can do this. And the upright, it's just go, boom, you got it, right? And the reverse, it's I've got to build myself up. Build yourself up. Build yourself up. But in the reverse position, I also call this what I call the what is it called? Mario Brothers. The Mario effect, where if you're banging your head against the wall, but the wall isn't budging, it's time to look for a new direction and move in a new direction. Take another path within that direction, find another way to get around the problem, right? If the Chariot is upright, it's pushing through, but if it's in reverse, it's looking for another way. Does that make sense? I pulled that one today. In a way, okay. So Joseph Campbell goes on to write, over time, life presents the Fool with new challenges, some of that suffering and disillusionment. He has on many occasions to draw on the quality of the strength. He is pressed to develop his courage and resolve and find the heart to keep going despite setbacks. The Fool also discovers the quiet attributes of patience and tolerance. He realizes the willful command of the Chariot must be tempered by kindness and a softer power of a loving approach. At times, intense passions surface, just when the Fool thought he had everything, including himself, under control. Okay? So, Jan has been pressing forward, and the Millers made it through the tough holiday season. Unscathed, right? They had a great Christmas. As January approaches, new goals are being set, and a sense of excitement and newness is kind of in the air, right? And then suddenly, in the middle of the crossing of the new year, Jan's mother passes away. And several weeks later, she herself has been diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer. It feels as if her bubble has been popped, and it's going to take every bit of strength she has to keep moving forward. But this strength must be unlike the strength of the Chariot. This strength must come from the soul, the unconditional love source, meditation and flow. The strength to go softer and gentler in moving forward. Jan knows that it's very important to keep connecting to her spirituality in these moments and to gently love herself through this process, because in this part of the journey, it's very easy for the strength position to go in reverse and start having self-doubt and vibrational crashes. She will move forward, but slowly, gently, and with love, much love and self-care. I know we're going on a little bit late. Deeply felt need to find out why people live only to suffer and die. The hermit represents the need to find deeper truth. The Fool begins to look inward, trying to understand his feelings and emotions. The sensual world holds less attraction for him, and he seeks moments of solitude away from the frantic activity of society. In time, he may seek a teacher or a guide who can give him advice and direction. And Jan has been. She is healing from the grief and loss of her mother and the healing of losing her breast and reconstruction surgery. The grief has become just too much, and Jan needs time to reflect. She needs to grieve. She needs to heal. So she vacations and finds a mentor to help her through this period. So Jan decides to take some time and go on vacation with Mark and Elliot to soak up the sand and the beach and the sun rays. She takes a break from her work for a little while, and upon her return, she creates a garden and begins learning about plant health. But as soon as she needs to get back in, but soon she knows she needs to get back into business and back on her feet, because she doesn't want to fall into the hermit reversed, which is spending way too much time in that self-reflection and grief. So she chooses to hire her own transformational coach, and she begins healing and moving forward. And that is the hermit card. The hermit is self-reflection, healing, getting through the phases of all the struggle, the trauma, okay? So, after Joseph Campbell writes, after much soul searching, the fool begins to see how everything connects. He has a vision of the world's wondrous design, its intricate patterns and cycles. The wheel of fortune is a symbol of mysterious universe whose parts work together in harmony. When the fool glimpses the beauty and order of the world, it's only briefly. He finds some of the answers he is seeking. Sometimes the experiences seem to be the work of fate, a chance encounter, a miraculous occurrence begins the process of change. The fool may recognize his destiny in the sequence of events that led him to this turning point. Having been solitary, he feels ready for movement and action again. His perspective is wider, and he sees himself with the grander scheme of a universal plan. His sense of purpose is restored. And in this last card that we're going to speak to tonight, it is the Wheel of Fortune card. After working with her transformational coach, Jan is seeing new perspectives, especially in relation to her business and her purpose. She knows that the Wheel of Fortune is now upon her, and its truth, its meaning is the same in the upright or the reverse position. She knows that manifestation rests on how she emotes. She can focus on the worst of times and receive more of the same, or focus on the blessings and receive more of the same. The outcome is completely up to her. So when we get the Wheel of Fortune card, this is a time where you are in a manifestation period. If you're focusing on the negative aspects of your life and you're focusing on the things that feel hard, the Wheel of Fortune is going to go to those things that feel hard. They're going to go to bring you more hardships. And if you're focusing on the blessings and the gifts of your life, it's going to start to move towards the blessings and the gifts of your life. That is what the Wheel of Fortune card is all about. So reverse or front ways, it means the same thing. You're manifesting with your emotions. You are in a manifestation period with your emotions. It's time to, I had a mentor say, everything is about your vibrations. Your emotions will be okay, right? It's keeping the vibration in good order, keeping the vibration healthy, keeping an outlook. And as you begin to keep a healthy outlook, the Wheel of Fortune is saying you're going to see those little blessings. They're going to keep popping up. You're going to see them. You're going to see them. And if you keep emoting in the sadness and the grief, it's because you're going to see a little bit more hardships. You're going to see a little bit more hardships. Okay, so that was the first half